Welcome to the Pastor Show. We're so glad you're joining us today. This is episode 2, season 2. Pastor, welcome. So glad to
Well,
have
thank you. Thank you, Mark. I hadn't really thought about episode 2, season 2. I think we need some merchandise, don't you? Don't you? I think everybody would love to have your mug on a mug or have a Pastor Show T-shirt. So we'll have to look into that in the days to come. Things are going well with me around my house. My wife, Donna, doing well. Our daughter, Ray, the girls at college are doing well. A little bit of excitement. My oldest daughter, she lives in a high-rise apartment at the University of South Carolina, and they had a fire in the basement, which ran her out of the apartment for a few days. And so that was, a lot of drama, but no danger. And she's back in the apartment today. I'm working on my sermon for Sunday. We've been going through the 7 letters to the churches that we find in the book of Revelation. I've really gotten a lot of feedback, Mark, on this series. I wasn't expecting that, but that's been an encouragement. This week we'll be focused on the church at Thyatira. This is probably a little more difficult message to preach, to write and preach. We'll be focused on tolerance, the sin of tolerance. But I'm excited about it and working on it, have it done here in the next couple of days. How are things going with you and Meredith?
Yeah, we're doing well. We had the opportunity to meet with a couple of people that are interested in joining our church. That's always exciting to experience that, just to hear their faith story and to tell them how they can be involved in our church. Maybe you are thinking about joining our church. I just want to encourage you to reach out to the church, call us. We'd love to set up a meeting and talk with you about it. We will have a new members class coming up in the next couple of weeks, but you may not want to wait. So call the church office and let us know. Also had an opportunity to be a part of a couple of funerals over the last couple of days. And, it was a really sweet time and blessing just to hear people tell the testimonies of those that had passed away, just how God had made an impact in their life. And it just reminds me how important it is for us to share our faith and to tell people about what God has done. So just want to encourage you in that. And then, of course, Meredith and I are in the tournament of 2021. She's 5 games ahead. I need help. So pray for me in that. Pastor, episode 2, season 2 usually means there's a cliffhanger at the end. So looking forward to seeing what that's going to be. Maybe it'll be in the devotion time that you're about to share with us. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, thank you, Mark. I want to share a couple of things. The first one isn't a devotion, but it leads to a devotion, perhaps. One of the things that I like to share in some of our pastor shows is just something I've learned from my reading the previous week, just reading different books and Christian books focused on different parts of the Christian life. And I've wondered, would people like to read these books with me? And so we're going to start a new class, a new discussion class. I'm just calling it Reading with the Pastor. And it'll be a Zoom class. People will register for the class. We'll all get on Zoom at the same time. And I can share about what I've read the last week. And we'll all have read the same book and the same chapters. And then we can have some discussion. We can have some back and forth and talk about what we have read through the technology of Zoom. So let me tell you how you can get started with this. Our first meeting is going to be on Wednesday, 3 o'clock, February 3rd, and then we'll meet every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. If you would like to sign up, go to our website, fbcnac.org/read, R-E-A-D, or you can just give us a call here at the church, ask to speak with Raina, and she can take your name and email address. If you sign up on that Wednesday, maybe a couple of hours before the class begins, you'll get an email with an invitation to the Zoom conference. So the first book we're going to read is this book. It's Timothy Keller's book called Prayer. It's a fantastic book. I've read it actually a couple of times, and I'm looking forward to going through it again. It's challenging in some places. I think, Mark, you said that you've read this book. It's challenging in some places, but I think it's probably the best contemporary book on prayer that you can read today. It is that good, and we'll all learn things that we didn't know. It'll challenge us in a lot of ways. So you can get the book on Amazon. It's also available on Kindle. We have some at the church. So I bought just a limited supply of the books. I think our books are $16. So if you'd like to, get one from us, just reach out to Raina here at the church, and she can help you with that. But you can just order your own. That might be the easiest thing for most people. Just any bookseller will have this. It's a pretty common book. And I'm looking forward to it. In our first meeting, we're going to talk about chapters 1 through 5. The preface and the first 5 chapters, that's what we'll read. And so everybody will read it before the class starts. And then when the class begins, I'll take about 20 minutes maybe and just share my notes and my observations of what we have read. And then we're just going to open up the floor and we'll all share. And I think we'll benefit from each other. So reading with the pastor, join us for that if you are interested. Now, one other thing I wanted to share just as a way of devotion is to talk a little bit about last Sunday's sermon. There was so much I wanted to share that I didn't have time to share, so I tried to focus the message on the essentials on Sunday. But one of the things that we talked about, in fact, one of the main things we talked about was the teaching of Balaam. Yeah. So the warning that Christ gave to the church at Pergamum is that they not follow the teaching of Balaam. And we said that Balaam appears a few times both in the Old Testament and the New Testament. We talked a little bit about who Balaam is, and we learned we observed what the teaching of Balaam was, that it is okay to compromise. But, and this is interesting to me anyway, the Bible in the New Testament, right there in Revelation chapter 2, talks about the teaching of Balaam. But if you go over to Jude 11 or 2 Peter 2:15, it talks about the path of Balaam or the way of Balaam. And I studied this a good bit last week. I am convinced those are two different things. So the teaching of Balaam is that it's okay to compromise. That's what he taught those people. But the way of Balaam is something else. Let me just read those 2 verses. I think you'll pick up on what the way of Balaam is. Jude 11 says, "Woe to them, for they have gone the way of Cain and have plunged into Balaam's error for profit," is what it says. And then 2 Peter 2:15, "They have gone astray by abandoning the straight path and have followed the path of Balaam, the son of Bosor, who loved the wages of wickedness." And so what is the path? What is the way of Balaam? Because that's also something that's very dangerous for us. Well, the way of Balaam is to use our piety, to use our spiritual lives for personal benefit. That's what Balaam did. He had some relationship with God. We don't know exactly the nature of that relationship, but he had some relationship with God. But instead of using his knowledge of God, his relationship with God as a way to honor God, he tried to use it as a way to cash in. He was, in a sense, selling for money his access to God. And Mark, we don't we don't charge people to pray. I don't think that's a temptation, but I do believe that oftentimes we're tempted to follow God, not because he is holy, not because we want to bring glory to his name, but we're often tempted to follow God because of what we think we can get from that, how we think we can benefit from that. If I follow God, he'll answer my prayer. If I follow God, he'll keep me healthy. If I follow God, he'll make me successful and wealthy. If I follow God, he'll keep me out of hell. Well, we can talk about all of those things, and there's some truth to those if you understand them in a biblical way. But none of those are reasons to follow God. That would be the path of Balaam, to follow God for what you get out of it. I benefit tremendously from my relationship with God in so many ways. The Lord shows his kindness to me. But I follow God, I worship God because he is worthy of worship, because he is holy, and I want to bring glory to his name. And you see this throughout the New Testament. It really is a focus in several places, not just this reference to the path of Balaam or the way of Balaam, But I think about something that Jesus did, and this is something I think that is often misunderstood. It's recorded in 3 of the 4 Gospels. Jesus goes into the temple, and there are people selling sheep. There are people who are changing money from the Roman coins to some temple currency. And Jesus goes in. He is very upset about that. He turns over the tables. He drives those money changers out. And then he says something, and I've got it here. I'm reading from Matthew 21, verse 13. He said to them, it is written, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of thieves. Now, people have come up with all kind of crazy interpretations from that, but here's what is going on. It wasn't wrong for people to be selling these animals for sacrifice, whether they were birds or sheep or whatever. That was a service that was provided for the people, and it was a needed service. It allowed people to better worship the Lord, especially people who had traveled a long distance. The problem was they were charging so much for these animals, and they were charging so much to exchange this currency. It was no longer about worshiping God. It was about making a profit. And so here's what, again, Jesus said, my house shall be called a house of prayer. Now, what's prayer? Prayer is focusing on God. He said, I want everything in this house. I want everything in the temple to be about focusing on God. But you've made it a den of thieves. You've made it into something about personal benefit instead of glory and honor to God. And so that too, that's the way of Balaam. And my prayer, because I think we all struggle with this some, none of us have a pure heart when it comes to this. But my prayer is, Lord, bring clarity to my spiritual walk and my worship, that it will be first and foremost about who you are. I pray the Lord's Prayer almost every day. I don't know that it really wasn't given to us for us to recite it, but it helps me in my prayer sometimes to do that. And so it begins, our Father who are in heaven, holy is your name. And that's why we worship him, right? Holy is your name. And I pray that God will refine my worship and refine my following God, so that it'll really be about who he is and his worthiness to be worshiped. Does that make sense, Mark? I know it's a lot to say maybe on a video, but
Yeah, absolutely. What a challenge! A challenge for us, especially. Sunday was a challenge too, Noel. So you're just hitting us. You're hitting us quite a bit with some challenges, but so thankful for that. And Sunday was also a great day of worship in both worship services. What an incredible time of worship!
yeah, absolutely.
So thankful for Tom able to play the piano and worship from the piano on Sunday morning. What a gift that was to our church. And then we had a guest worship leader. It just made me think maybe we have some updates about the Summit Minister and what's going on. What's going on there?
Yes, we do, Mark, and I am excited about this and excited to share. Before I get to the details, let me just take a minute and remind people what it is we're trying to accomplish in the Summit service and what we're asking our Summit minister to do. In the past, we've had worship leaders for our contemporary service, and we've had very good worship leaders, done exactly what we've asked them to do. But this is a different animal. We've started this Summit service. Our numbers are very good, especially considering COVID. We're very excited, and we think that this is going to be one of our greatest avenues for growth. Right now, even before COVID fades, hopefully it will fade, but especially when COVID fades. And so we want our Summit minister. He will lead the worship, he will sing, and he will lead us in our singing. But more than that, we want our Summit minister to be a pastor to the people, to the families that are a part of that service. Now, we're still all one church, and we share children's ministry and youth ministry, and all of us, every minister is a minister to everybody. But we want somebody who's just focused, just laser focused on those people. We want somebody who is laser focused on helping us reach out to the community and bring more people into that service. We want somebody who wakes up every morning thinking, how can we reach more people in the summit service? And so this is really, it's a music and a worship leading ministry, but that's probably less than half of what we're asking him to do. We're really asking him to be the tip of the spear in our outreach focus through the summit service. So having said that, we've been looking for a summit minister now since late summer. We've been focused on this. We've been praying. We've been looking at resumes, talking to people. Well, back in November of last year, we began to talk to Grant Keith and his wife, Brooke. Grant was serving a church in Amarillo, Texas. In a similar capacity, he was a worship leader, but he also did some other ministries there at the church, and so it was a little broader than that. And Mark, the more I was able to spend time with Grant and Brooke and their two girls, Caroline and Emmy, I think they're about 9 and 7. The more time I was able to spend with them, just the more impressed I was with their heart, with their passion for the Lord and their love for people. I'll tell you a little bit about Grant. He is from South Florida. His wife, Brooke, is from the Arlington area, right here in Texas. Grant went to Samford University in Birmingham for undergraduate, and then he was here in Texas at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary for his master's study. He received a Master of Music Worship, Music in Worship. Grant has served churches in Virginia and in Florida, and he served churches here in Texas. So as I said, spent a lot of time with him, been very impressed with him. And then our search team, we have a very good search team just focused on our summit minister search. They've been able to spend some time with Grant. We have brought him here to town a couple of times to spend the weekend with us and just to spend as much time as we could with him, and his wife and girls came down one time as well. And our search team has just fallen in love with him. And he's, when everybody meets him, I mean, you'll see why they have fallen in love with him, but also just what his heart is and what God has designed him to do in ministry, I believe lines up exactly with what we're looking for, with what we want to do. In fact, Grant was here this last weekend. He's the guest artist that you spoke of, and he led our summit service. We brought him in because, we just wanted to do all due diligence, and it was good to bring him in, let him work with our praise team and our praise band. In fact, a couple of people on the search team are also on the praise team. And so we wanted them to have an opportunity to go to a rehearsal with him, to see how all of that works, and to sing with him, to worship with him. And they came away from that just even more certain than they were before that the Lord is leading us to Grant Keith. So here's the plan, Mark. We're going to bring him back on the 31st, Sunday, January 31st. He will be with us in view of a call. We've got a way that we can introduce him to both services. It's a little complicated because they're happening at the same time, but we think we've worked out a way. The church will receive more information between now and then about Grant and about what will happen on that Sunday. But we're looking forward to it. So he'll share with us Sunday, and then at the end of the service Sunday, our search team will recommend and ask the church to approve Grant Keith as our brand new summit minister. And so that's just week and a half away, Mark. I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to this, and I think God's just shown us some kindness in this search in a special way. So looking forward to it.
That is so exciting to hear, Noel. And I know that the committee is excited, and really excited for the church to get to know Grant and Brooke and the family. But it does make me wonder about the worship minister search. What's going on with the celebration worship minister search? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
you and everybody else? I guess that's the biggest question that I get on Sundays now. It's not about the Bible. It's not about Jesus. It is about the worship minister search. And I know people are anxious and people are excited, and that's good. That is good. So the search is going on. We had a good meeting last night with our search team. It's a different search team for that search. And I can tell everybody the search team's all on the same page. And we talked about what our next steps, and we spent some time in prayer. It was a good meeting. You were there last night, Mark. It was a good meeting, and I just left there refreshed. I felt the Lord is leading us. It's hard to know how close we are. That's what people are asking. How close are we? I don't know. And anything I said would just be a guess, and so that wouldn't be responsible for me. But I'm excited because we're going forward and we're all walking together. So hopefully, as soon as there's news to share, we'll share it. Maybe we ought to break the news right here on the Pastor Show. What do you think? We'll have to see how the timing works out, but maybe we'll do that. The Pastor Show audience will be the first to hear once we have some more information. So, Mark, now I've done most of the talking here. You share with us, talk about just ministry-wise, what's going on around the church this week.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that y'all are aware of a couple of things that are happening. For our GAs, tonight is going to be a really great experience with dads and daughters. It's a movie night. It's not too late, dads, for you to bring your daughters and come to the GA night. It's going to be awesome. It'll be in the fellowship hall. Just in case the weather's a little different, we moved it inside, but it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy that. Dads, also, you have an opportunity to reach out with your sons. We've got the father-son mission trip coming February 5th and 6th. This is a great opportunity for you and your son to spend some time in Dallas at T-Bach Church and just getting your hands dirty and helping that church out in so many great ways. If you've got questions about that, call the church, talk with Caleb. It's not too late to sign up and be a part of that experience. And then our Women's Mentors group is beginning this next week. If you signed up to have a mentor, you should be hearing from them this week and starting your meeting times with them. Also, our ladies' Bible studies on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, they've been going on. It's not too late to get involved in that. If you want to do that, call the church. We can let you know how to be a part of that as well. Our college ministry had their kickoff for their small groups. It happens on Thursday nights, and they will be meeting in homes and in apartments all over Nacogdoches this week. So if you're a college student and you don't have a group, call Caleb. He will set you up. Great opportunity for discipleship and just to spend time in God's Word. It makes me wonder, do you have a group? Are you involved in a Sunday school class or a small group, just spending time in God's Word? Just want to encourage you to get involved. Maybe you don't know where to go. Call the church. We'd love to help you. On Sunday mornings in the Welcome Center, there's someone there that would love to help you find a place, find a Sunday school to be involved in. It's so important. Maybe you have a Sunday school group, but you don't have a team that you're serving on in a ministry area where you're serving the body or serving the world. We have so many great opportunities in and through our church. Come by the Welcome Center. We'd love to talk with you there. Come and talk to me. Call the church office this week. I'd love to talk with you about ways that you can be involved in ministries here in our church. Pastor, that's what's going on in the life of our church this week. Do you have a final word for us?
Mark, maybe a request. Often people ask, and this means so much to me. I can't put into words how much this means to me, but people will ask, Pastor, what can I pray for you and for your family? And here's probably my greatest prayer ask for our people right now. Just pray that that the Lord will give me clear discernment into this passage in Revelation chapter 2, the last part of the chapter of Thyatira and Jezebel and tolerance. It's a really complex passage, and I want to make sure that as I preach it, it is simple and it is straightforward, and that we can easily understand it. So I would appreciate any prayers that anybody would voice to the Lord for my study time the rest of the week.
Thank you, Noel. I'm so excited we get to be a part and partner with you as you're preparing for the sermon. I know when I pray for the sermon and for the worship service during the week, it's sweeter when I'm there at the worship service. So, what a great opportunity, church, that we can come alongside our pastor, pray with him and pray for him, and look with anticipation and expectancy to see what God's going to do Sunday. Can't wait to see you Sunday. Looking forward to seeing you next week on the Pastor Show. And until then, may your day be blessed.